Hey, everybody. I'll give a minute for, like I said, I was going to be on it too. I'm about 4 minutes early, so I'm going to wait for just a second and do some preliminaries. All right, reconnecting. Very good. All right. Looks like we are back on schedule. Today's a good one. The letter S. Just a little bit more time. All right, well, we'll get into it. We are, oh, let me do this part. Ka-chow. There we are. I'm going to do this part. Ka-chow. Yeah, you heard me. You heard me. I do this to not just watch. I mean, I'm watching myself, but I'm doing it for the chat. I don't want top chat. I want live chat. There we go. Okay, good to go in case I need to reply with them. So, someone guessed. That's good. Someone guessed hey, shelter. Someone guessed shelter. Now, shelter is a really good guess. I mean, to be quite honest, shelters make sense. We've already went through shelters. We went through the quick shelter and the accompanying rapid ridge line that goes along with it. So if you use the rapid ridge line with the quick shelter, QR, then you have a system for sheltering. That's already a part of it. So, so we are not doing shelters today. What we are doing is skills. I make it a point to have lots of reading material. I make it a point to have lots of reading material. There's a lot of this. Some of this I haven't gone over with myself. For example, this one on trees is quite the thick compendium. It's amazing though. I've researched, looked in certain things like this, the witch hazel section, and this goes into like you get drawings, but also on the back you've got a very good identification list, things like that. So some of these books I use for, these are the elms. There's the elm family. Let's go over here. The turkey oak. So this is a reference material. When I go out and I find a plant that I want to, for example, a tree that I want to identify, especially when you go in the, if you go in the wintertime and you find a tree that you're like, this is an interesting tree, I want to find out more about it, then you mark the location, go back during the spring or summertime so that you can identify it better with the leaves and such. And then come back to a book like this, you've got a way to identify the tree. So this is the identification. when it comes to wilderness flora knowledge, uh, identification is highly important because there are 15 million, thousand, 100,000 million, zillion, gazillion species on this planet of trees. So um, identification is important, not just for mushrooms and stuff like this. I know I've got a lot of people that go out mushrooming all the time. Now I can't eat them because I'm allergic to mushrooms, but which makes sense that I don't have a whole lot of mushroom books. But anyway, skills is today. Today's subject is about skills, and I'm going to preempt the skills by showing that lots of these books aren't skilled. They're not skills. These books aren't skills. This is organized knowledge, organized information. So the way that it works is there's data, which is something, and then you organize it into information, and it becomes something you can put in a book. Then you have knowledge, and knowledge has to do with dealing with the information in a real world basis. You have wisdom, what you know, knowing how to use the knowledge in day-to-day life. So, and then you have skill. Skill is where the rubber meets the road. Skill is in between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge, using skill is the beginning of knowledge. Continuing that skill past many repetitions, going back and forth. Let's see. Let me get a good example of something that includes a skill that is wilderness oriented. You go into this book here, not the Info Guide on, that's different. Daniel Beard, DC Beard, Camp Lore and Woodcraft. So it's backwards on my and it looks backwards to everybody else too. Okay. So Camp Lore and Woodcraft, it has lots of different things. I don't know here, you can't read the words, but you can look at the pictures. So that's the picture of a fuzzy stick or a feather stick. Sometimes people call it normally these days. So a feather stick, that's a skill. There's a skill involved in being able to make those things. It's for fire lighting. It makes the basic idea of it is to increase surface area so that sparks, heavy sparks, and or char cloth can catch it afire. And that's in case you have if you don't have a lot of ground foliage. A lot of times, a lot of forests will have lots of moss covered rocks and dirt, and that's pretty much the ground cover. So you use fuzzy sticks or feather sticks. That's a skill. I could talk to you all day about this, about the of it, and the wonderful thing that the information is in the book. But if we don't have the skill for it, then we're not going to. We're not really going to be able to claim that it is ours. You can't own skills without dirt time. So we'll go down to dirt time. Going back to the ridgeline, ridgeline from the last one. You can talk all day about having the skill of being able to do a bowline knot without having to look at it, but without I did just look at it, but that was because there was a problem with its orientation. I've got to work on it too. So, um, dirt time doing this. The way in which I tie a bowline, like most people are used to this idea where they wait, no, it's this way. Yep, where the tree and the rabbit hole, and this is the rabbit that goes up around the tree and then back down in the hole. A lot of people know how to do it this way, and I, for the longest time, knew how to do it this way until I started playing with it and adding dirt time to my knowledge. And when I did, I realized that a slip knot is a partial bowline knot. All I have to do is put that in that place right there, and then it automatically becomes a bowline knot. So a slip knot is related to a bowline knot, or a bowline knot is related to a slip knot. A slip knot is related to a knot, overhand knot. So if you know how to do an overhand knot, then you also know how to do a slip knot, and you also know how to do a bowline knot. And a lot of people just haven't put that together. So doing things is more important than knowing things. I could talk to you all day about knowing something. And being good at talking about the material is important, because then when you're good at that, then you can technically look good when you're talking about it, and when you look good when you're talking about it, that's when people start following you, and then you can become more influential. That's the basic. That's the basic formula. Like, it doesn't matter how good I am with dirt time. It doesn't matter if I can't express what I know well enough to have people to go, oh, that's a good idea. Let me do that too. Because you can think it's good all you want, but if you don't want to share what's good, you're a certain kind of person that I don't really want to spend much time with. Not bad, not good. Just I like people who guard their knowledge, but only to those who would exploit it for negative benefits. Along with that, let me introduce one little piece of thing that includes two different kinds of skills. So, got this thing just off the internet, and it's a whole bunch of tent stakes. I got the 8-inch version. It's the smallest one. These are all tent stakes. So, and it's really, really simple. It's a nail. It's a long nail with a piece welded on the end of it. It probably took 2 seconds to make this thing, whoever was manufacturing this. Okay? Then painted it, colored it. Now, in wilderness survival, bushcraft, this is a good thing to, like, ting, 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 ting. You put this in the dirt. A lot of times in bushcraft, they say you don't have to take this with you into the woods. You just make some with the wood that's already out there. Or other people will say use the TPU stakes. Those are lighter, and you don't have to make anything out there in the woods. And so that's what if you don't have enough wood? People in the Midwest understand what I'm talking about. But this, living here in the woodland area of the eastern United States, all the way up north and south, doesn't matter what direction there, will have wood available to them. So why choose a stake? Why choose a heavy stake? It's not TPU. It's not that weird light plastic. It's smaller than the TPU stake or carved wooden stick, And so it's easier. It takes up less bulk, but it's still heavy. It's about as heavy as a really thick steak, wooden steak, and it's probably heavier than the TPU. So why use this? Well, because there's more than one skill involved in this. Sure, we can talk about tying the right kind of knots and talk about where is, I need a thinner string, not that thick rope that I was looking at. But so, we can talk about tying the prusik hitch or the other types of knots on top of this to, there's your skill. Or hitting in the ground without, knocking your knuckles or anything like that. That's a skill too. A lot of people don't understand how important that skill is, hitting the head of the steak instead of you. But another skill that goes along with the woodland warrior mindset. So the woodland warrior mindset, I've said it in a few other videos. I just haven't said it in this series yet. But woodland warriors is a combination of woodland warriors is a combination of wilderness knowledge and both modern and traditional knowledge and skills and gear, combined with traditional and modern martial arts, and I call that wilderness martial arts. So that's a genre, that's a niche, and as far as I understand, I'm the only one in that niche because I've created it. But when you add both of those together, the steak becomes important because all of a sudden it becomes a throw-in steak. So I missed. All right, that's not right. I'm not spinning it fast enough. Got it. All right. So we can make mistakes all we want, and that's another skill. But adding skill, choosing something that works in both situations, the situations that you like and want and have. Choosing a thing like these steaks, these 10 steaks here that were, I think, 12 for $8 or something like this off Amazon. But it's a camping tool. Go camping, put it in the ground, but it's also a self-defense tool. The plastic ones aren't going to do that. The aluminum ones aren't going to do that. Aluminum might work. Plastic would work in a different kind of situation. But for throwing spikes. So today's episode is on skills and why it's important to put the knowledge and own it in yourself, becoming your own resource. Like a lot of those books, I talked about that earlier. Some of these books are resources. So there's absolutely no way I have read through this entire book. But it's a resource. It's about trees. It tells you a lot of things about identification. Okay? That's the purpose and the reason behind some of these things. But other things, and then, right next to it, southeast foraging, which includes all kinds of things. I know you can't see it. This is Cal Parsnip, the author of this book. Has some history about this. His job is foraging. He forages for high-end restaurants, so that the high-end restaurant can say these ingredients are not only fresh, but they're also handpicked 3 days ago or 2 days ago. So that's an important type of thing. But then you go to something like, let's go, where it was over here, the Camp Lore and Woodcraft, and you look into it, and let's see, this is DC Beard, which was, here we go, there's a couple of kitchen setups. Now you can talk all day. We can talk all day about a kitchen setup, but that doesn't mean you can go set up a kitchen, a camp kitchen. That reminds me of an old story. This well-intentioned guy was going on a trip. He spent all of his life learning at the great institutions of the world. And what he did was, at his retirement ceremony, he said, "I'm finally going out." He spent all of his life. He didn't just spend 20 years in or 30 years or 40 years in. This guy's 50 years old plus. And he's like, "I'm finally retiring. I'm finally going to go out and being able to see the world and all this." He goes into the Amazon and he's got a guide and all this kind of wonderful stuff. And it's just him and the guide. And while of course they talk, and the guide is like, "So what do you do?" He's like, "Well, I just retired. And I was a professor at my university. I learned about all this and this and this and this, and I knew about this and I know about this." And the guide says, "Do you know how to swim?" He says, "Yeah, sure. I know about this technique and the backstroke and all this other things." He says, "Great, because we got a hole in the boat." And he dies. So skills are vital. Skills are important. So other than that, I mean, understanding that one experience out in the woods isn't enough. One going out one time into the wilderness with someone with you, even, or just by yourself, and saying, "Oh, I had a good experience. I was able to come back. I didn't get lost or anything like that." And it doesn't really work you on the inside if you don't go out there and continue those skill development and getting better and better and better. That's important. That's really important. So anyway, we started a little early, and so we might just be ending a little early as well, just because of that. Contest is still going. We've got T is next. TUVWXYNZ. We are almost done. We got how many? What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's only 7 left in a full alphabet. Full American alphabet. There's only 7 more episodes. Not bad. Not bad. So T is next. And that one's pretty, that's going to be pretty good. Yep. Okay. Tinder's going to be good. I'll have to change it now. Okay. Well, won't be that. I was going to do Tinder processing. So we'll find out what it is on another episode of Bushcraft A to Z. Just remember, when you go out in the woods, get lost, but never lose your way.